All right, everyone, we are back for another episode of Tempestagi Talk. This will be the episode before the 2026 season. So, of course, we have to talk about what we're seeing from the Seattle Storm, who we think will be the starters, because around the league, there are some teams where I think I know who should be the starters and then who will be the starters. So I'll break it down for you in Seattle, which of course means we also got to talk about waived players, Roberta. But then we are also going to talk about some pretty big movement news, retirements across the WNBA, and we'll leave you with some contenders or pretenders. We've done this
Ooh.
for we've done this for Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans, but now you'll get to hear what Hoeta and I think about the slate of 15 now WNBA teams. So we're going to hit this intro and then we'll get into all of that and more on Tempestagi Talk, keeping a local eye on your Seattle Storm.
You have three people who are selfless like that, three people who are dangerously disciplined like that, and you have a coach that also embodies all of those characteristics. You can expect good basketball.
I love interacting with the fans. I'm excited for them to cheer for us because it's hell when you come here. I even welcome people that could be skeptical because it's new.
There's going to be a standard of excellence and discipline in everything that we do.
The Pacific Northwest, this area, how passionate they are. It's culture everywhere, but it's great culture here. That's what I want to be a part of, to compete for a championship. That's everybody's goal. And I think it's just how we go about things and habits that we create. I want to be around winners that'll help us get closer to that.
And that's what the fans can expect. And we're going to have some fun.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome to Tempestagi Talk, as you likely saw in our intro, which I know, we got to get a new one, but we'll have a new one by next episode for sure. But Tempestagi is the Portuguese word, of course, for storm. So effectively, this is Storm Talk. My name is Erica L. Ayala, your founder here of Black Rosie Media, and I am with, once again, my co-host, Roberta Rodriguez, who is also the founder of Beta Basket. Roberta, I mean, we're all decked out. I've got my Everyone Watches Women's Sports.
Yeah,
You've got your WNBA hat. Let's go.
yeah, everything starts this Friday, and as you were giving the intro, where this is right before the storm starts. I was like, are we in the calm before the storm
Oh,
point of things? I had to throw that out there just because, but yeah, the season starts on Friday. I cannot believe it. Because there was so much until we got to this point, both with the Storm itself and the WNBA. The fact that we're going to have a season and the Storm has a team are both reasons to be just like, oh my God, it is starting, it's happening. So I'm
yes.
very excited.
The Seattle Storm hosting the Golden State Valkyries is one of 3 games on opening day proper, which also happens to be the birthday of yours truly. Thank you very much.
Hey.
Hey, let's go. We've
Oops,
got two
my
tipping off at 7:30, including here where I am right now in New York. New York will host Connecticut. Toronto will host Washington. So we get our first game in Toronto on opening night. I think that's going to be exciting. And then, of course, your Seattle Storm, again, hosting Golden State. So you get a game at CPA. I know it's been vacant for a little bit since both the Kraken and the Torrent. Thank you, Tammy. Both the Kraken and the Torrent are not playing in the playoffs. But hopefully, Climate Pledge Arena will have a good problem eventually when
Yeah.
both teams are in the playoffs. Then we got Storm basketball. We'll see how it all shakes out. But that is not a problem for 2026.
Now for now, maybe next season we're gonna have some like scheduling issues. Let's hope for those issues, right? Because we want the Torrent to
That's it.
succeed.
That's it. Let's hope for those issues. Tammy and Striatic, thank you for the birthday wishes. A big birthday, 30 for the W. Let's just say I also have a 0 at the end of my birthday. And I was alive when the
20.
exactly. That's exactly it. I was like, and I was also alive when the WNBA tipped off. Now you can do the math, probably. I think
I
so.
was alive too.
There you go. Great evening to you as well, Ronnie. And listen, this actually came up on another show, but I do want to say that sometimes the comments come in not in real time that Roberta and I, in this case, are communicating. And there was a little bit of a snafu, and someone brought it to my attention, not in the most polite way, but that's okay. That maybe I was a little curt. I was not Kurt Miller, but I was a little, sharp with my. There was a age came up, and perhaps it's because it's birthday week. Who knows?
What
Yeah,
age?
and Age and Skylar Diggins, a good friend of this pod. And there's been a lot of ageism talk, and I went like from
Ooh.
0 to 180. So if anyone who was listening to that show felt that I came in a little hot, I
Get used to
appreciate, yeah, get used to it. I'm trying to, in my older age, work through, things. And I always, the truth thing is, if someone brings something to my attention, we want to build community here. I'm always going to be reflective. And so that's something that I want to do. And I just want to share here now that if you have something that isn't sitting well with you, please let us know. We don't aim to, we rib each other and we try to be entertaining. And, let us know. We want this to be
Yeah.
a place where we can enjoy. So if that is ever an issue, please do reach out, and hopefully we can get to a place of mutual respect. I do want to say that. I do want to honor that. And some of y'all come in here a little bit and I'd be asking questions, clarifying questions. Y'all know who you are. And again, it's supposed to be all in good fun. So if ever we make you uncomfortable, specifically me, just let us know, and we want to be able to deal with it. Thank you, Tammy. But again, what's good with us, I want to be open to the fact that it's not good for everyone, and that's what we're trying to do. So that's the respectful thing to do, and I am trying to be respectful. Now I will get off my auntie jokes. Y'all know me.
And sometimes kick me out. Although
Okay,
I still we haven't had get out of my spring season yet. Maybe that's probably because the season hasn't started yet.
It hasn't started yet, so
and I hadn't had an opportunity to like piss you off. So let's see once we start having some like milk on the court.
See, there you go. There you go with the milk. There you go. Tempting.
I know.
You have kicked yourself off a few times though.
I did. Tech issues. Tech is on your side. Tech's on your side.
There you go. But again, we have a big slate here. So again, let us know, as always. Be active in the chat, and also if I don't get your comment right, let me know. But especially if it's something that's a little bit larger, because sometimes they come through and I'll be like, oh, that was 5 whole minutes ago. But we have a big show today. Yeah. And you know what? Let's start with some national news. You were able to be a part of the media corps breaking the news that Natasha Cloud is going to Chicago. Now, there are a lot of things to take away from this. Natasha Cloud has a contract. Natasha Cloud will play in the WNBA. Natasha Cloud is going to Chicago. And then it's like, Natasha Cloud's going to Chicago.
And how is she going to Chicago? Don't worry, we're gonna break it down for you.
Let us know, Roberta, because I saw you, and you were the first person that I saw associate Tash Cloud with a new agent, because that was a part of the conversation with her not being signed, that she had changed agencies. So let us know how you were able to break some of that news, of course, with what you're comfortable with. But we did see that you were able to get and confirm it's a 1-year contract, $555K for the year. Cloud to the sky.
Yeah, so we got the news that Natasha Cloud had. Well, we're gonna have to take a step back here because we heard the news that the Chicago Sky waived Hailey Van Lith.
Yes.
Early that day, just like about 45 minutes before Chicago announced Natasha Cloud. And I started talking to people, started talking to my sources. and I heard some things, and I was like, something's up. I have texts to prove. I was talking to a friend of mine because my friend texted me like, "What's going on? What do you know?" And I was
Right.
like, "Listen, I am working at my day job. I don't have time to make to make the tough questions to people right now. But something's up." Half an hour later, the Chicago Sky announced Natasha Cloud. So I went and talked to some more people. One of these people that I had the opportunity to talk to was her agent, Fabio Giardini, from Seto's First Pick. He confirmed, and he told me that it was a 1 year deal for $555,000. Those were news that both Annie Costabile and I shared within minutes of difference, with typing and everything. But
Mhm.
yes, it's a 1 year deal, $555,000. She's going into a team that already has two players who play very similarly to her, which Tyler Marsh did talk about it, but let's take one step at a time. She's going to join backcourt that includes Skylar Diggins and Courtney Vandersloot, who is injured, and we don't know when is coming back. So first things first, it's really, really good and relieving that Natasha Cloud is in a WNBA team and that she's going to play this season. It was just not a good look for anyone that she wasn't there. Erica followed the situation with New York very closely. Not that there's a situation there, but she was tied to the New York Liberty that decided not to sign her. So there was a lot of Liberty that they covered about Natasha Cloud on Black Rose Media's Tuesday podcast, Gotta Get Up, a local podcast for New York Liberty fans. So Erica did make the hard question to Jonathan Kolb of why they didn't sign Natasha Cloud. And then Jonathan Kolb said, listen, she is amazing. Any team would be lucky to have her. So no one was understanding what was happening. Sue Bird was not
Right.
understanding what was happening.
Nobody, including, and thank you for bringing that up, that Brian and I were reporting in New York, because also I was able to confirm with, someone close with the Liberty organization and understanding of the situation, that the Liberty had fielded interest in Natasha Cloud because, like you said, that was the last team that she played for. And
Mm-hmm.
at least the New York Liberty, and someone with knowledge of the situation was able to confirm that the Liberty did speak about Natasha Cloud in a glowing manner with at least one
Mm-hmm.
other WNBA team. And so, there was a lot going on, but it was not that there weren't moving parts. It was just about timing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting that you brought up the agent situation. I did not know that she had changed agents. I didn't follow that part. But she did change agents midway through free agency, and I think that we can see why, right? She's a player,
Hmm.
whoever one would have expected to be on a team, and if she wasn't signed then and was signed now, then there were some additional layers to the situation that we might never know. We might
Yeah.
never get to the bottom of it. But it turns out that she was eventually hired by a team, and Parker is very happy with that. So it worked for her on that end. She's going to play for the Chicago Sky. I believe that she's going to come off the bench. I think that's how she played in New York too, right?
At times,
Yeah.
she did play off the bench at stretches. So,
Hmm.
that's an interesting wrinkle. We'll get to that. Let's keep
Yeah.
working through
Yeah.
though the timeline.
Yeah. Let's go through the timeline. So, um, we can tell that there was interest. What was happening behind the scenes? I say with all the honesty that I don't know what were the specifics about why wasn't she signed? Why did she switch agents? What did the other agents do? What did this one do? I don't know that part because there was just so much going on in the W that took priority. but it was not about Natasha Cloud not being wanted by a team. That was definitely not the case. And now we see that she is there. And I did highlight that the agent who was able to get Natasha Cloud a team was the same agent who got Kennedy Parker back into the league this season. I'm always gonna
Oh,
shout out
Kennedy Carter.
Latinos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm always gonna shout out Latinos.
Oops. Wrong logo. Yes.
He's Latino, so that's like, you know, Latino people just know how to work through hard situations. The impossible is not a thing for us. So it's really cool, and so I think that the most important thing here is that Natasha Cloud is the type of player that a team is going to make the moves to make room for her. So the decision to waive Haley Van Lith was not an easy one for Chicago, and they took a lot of backlash for it until the news came. And then when the news came, Chicago continued getting backlash because honestly, Chicago kind of, you made the bed, you lay, you're laying it.
Chicago has everything they deserve coming.
But
probably.
she's the type of player that a team is going to make moves for her. So someone asked in the team, because the WNBA had several media availabilities with every single team. It was Skylar Diggins and Elizabeth Williams with Taina Mair for Chicago. So the first question, of course, was tell us about Natasha Cloud, because that media availability was the same day. So Elizabeth Williams said that the moment that she found out Natasha Cloud was going there, she immediately texted her and she was super excited. And everyone is just very happy to have her there. The Chicago Sky is going to be very interesting to watch. And I think that the addition of Natasha Cloud is going to be a good relief for Skylar Diggins when it comes to time management.
So I think you're right. And if it was Natasha Cloud and Skylar Diggins, I'm all for it. But it's not. And yes, like you mentioned, Courtney Vandersloot is injured. Skylar Diggins can play the two. That's part of the conversation that we had when she was in Seattle, right? Is she the one? Is she the two? It's the conversation that we have on Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. Where do you put Sabrina Ionescu? And it's the question that I asked Jonathan Kolb. When you have Sabrina Ionescu and a player like perhaps a Tash Cloud, what is the vision? And so, Brian broke this down. Brian Florenton, my co-host of Gotta Get Up, and the curator of the Women's Basketball Roundup newsletter. We had an episode, or excuse me, an edition digest dropped today. But there's a really unique skill set that Tash Cloud has. And it's, I think, a dying breed of true defensive-minded, pass-first, facilitating point guards.
Exactly.
The thing is that she's on a team with two other of those point guards of the same era and generation of her on the same team. And now, at least from the backcourt, in who we presume are players that will either start or should be in contention to start, that means Sky is shooting between, if she's starting with either Sloot or Tash Cloud, she's going to be shooting the ball more. She's truly, properly the shooting guard. The other wrinkle here, and we know this from when Courtney Vandersloot left New York, she wanted to go somewhere. We used it as our thumbnail heading. I want to be valued. She wanted to be, that's what she said in that season in Unrivaled. I want to be somewhere where I'm valued. She did come off of the bench. Tash Cloud did a little bit of that both of them under Sandy Brondello, coming off of the bench. And I don't think that that's necessarily the role that either one of them wanted to play. Now, assuming that Sloot comes back healthy at some point in time, doesn't that mean that one of the three of your true veteran point guards is coming off of the bench?
Yes, it does. And I think that it's going to be I think it starts with, why does everything about the Chicago Sky have to be so dramatic, right? They can't have a single easy thing going for them, but they do get themselves in this sort of a pickle that at some point they're gonna have to choose, unless they know that Courtney Vandersloot is probably not coming back, which I don't know, could she potentially not coming back for a whole season? I don't think so, but at some point they're gonna have to make that decision, and it's going to be who is going to start off the bench. My opinion is that with them potentially playing Skylar 2 and Tash 1, depending on how Natasha Cloud starts the season, Islut's not going to have much room to play. Especially since she's probably gonna be ramping and going up slowly
What is the
into
term
playing.
this season? Reconditioning. She'll be reconditioning.
Reconditioning. Yeah. She's probably going to be reconditioning for a long time, and Tash is going to take the lead. So I believe that that's where this move is coming from. I think that the way I see it, from how things are going, from how the moves were made, I don't see Courtney Vandersloot coming back in the first half of the season. That's the perception that I get from this situation. Either she's not coming back, or she's going to start. How did you call it again? The recovery?
Reconditioning.
Or she's going to be reconditioning very, very slowly. That's how I see things going with the Chicago Sky. And that's the only way that this all makes sense, right? Otherwise, you're going to have three extremely similar point guards, which Tyler Marsh said that in the media availability. He said Sky, Tash, and Sloot are more similar than different, which I gotta say that context in this case matters, because you don't have one of them.
I was like, which finger is she gonna put down, everyone? I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
See, this is why you get kicked off. This is why you get kicked off. This
Anyways,
is a family show.
Yeah, in this case, of the three, they have two of them. Only two of them is available, and we don't know when the third is gonna go back. And when the third goes back, it's gonna be more like 2.5, something like this. So I'm just doing too much in my head. It's time to stop it. I was going Lady Gaga, palms up. So I think that that's the situation now. I think that they're looking short term, just like trying to stay afloat while Courtney Vandersloot is recovering. And then when Sloot starts coming back, then probably that's when they're going to start putting Skylar to play on the two. I do have to remember who is in the Chicago Sky.
Yeah, and let's talk about this in a minute, but I do
Let's
want to
talk about
go.
this.
I wanted to, because we do, of course, we're going to talk about the Seattle Storm, we promise. There's just
Yeah.
some really
It's
big
a
news.
lot going on.
A
yeah.
lot of big news. So the Tosh Cloud thing was big, and then we're also going to talk about Tina Charles' return. Tina Charles. We're going to talk about Tina Charles a little later in the show, because we do want to get to the starting five, our projected starting five. But I want to come back to this question from Striatic, who is joining us from the Black Rosie Media hockey sphere. We love having ya. Welcome to the W. I'm sure you'll see a lot of things in common, including an awesome group of people who we love people. We try to uplift people. And we are people that have gotten used to bad officiating.
We also have that to talk about.
That is okay. First of all, like, I didn't know that I needed more NPR WNBA crossovers. So for that, I am thankful.
Same.
Thank you. I didn't know that I needed that, like it's logical. And I guess I just got to a point in my brain where I really didn't think it was going to happen, like on a national level, I should say, because like, not to be that person, but I have been on local radio, which, is all a part of the NPR family. So I've done hits. As a matter of fact, I think we're doing one Friday morning. Yes.
Oh,
I've got to look up the details because I'm like, wait, I'm going on local radio again. Anyway, local public funded radio, love it. And like a true sit down and like asking hard hitting questions to Nafisa Collier. If you haven't checked it out,
those
check it out.
were, yeah,
We're gonna talk about it.
it was a really good interview. I
It
listened to
was
it on
really
a
good.
walk with my dog. Yeah.
It was really, really good. But okay, I got distracted as I am wont to do. Striatic asking, did Cloud get the money she seemed to be looking for, or did waiting cost her more? And I know Tammy chimed in here, so thank you, Tammy, for your comment. I want to get to that one as well. But Striatic, this is an excellent question, and it goes back to something that Roberta said. The real answer is we don't know.
We don't know. We really
We
don't.
really don't know. If I'm telling you my hunch and my between the things that I've reported, but then also kind of intuition and kind of doing deductive reasoning, I think no. I think it goes back to what Tammy, who answered your question when you first put it in the chat. I think Tammy's onto something here. That's my hunch. I'm not reporting this. I am
Yeah.
analyzing and inferring. I want to make that clear because I do listen to public radio and I know words matter. So Tammy, she probably could have gotten more in the first round of free agency. I did some quick math, which definitely check my math. I'm a words person, not a numbers person. But we talked about Haley Van Lith being waived. She did get picked up by Connecticut, so
She did.
she has a spot,
Everything's
and I
moving
think
so
that's a good
fast.
spot. That's a
Yeah.
good spot, and I'm not surprised because I thought that Cloud, a place that had money, I should say, to pay Cloud what I think she was asking for, one of them was Connecticut. So I'm really eager to see what Van Lith is getting over at Connecticut. But going back to this, when they offloaded Van Lith from the salary sheet, that gave them roughly around 200K. Check out our good friends over at Her Hoop Stats, not sponsored, but we're all in the independent game together, and they're a great resource. They have the salary cap sheets that they keep pretty consistently, and so when you look at that plus what the Sky had available per Her Hoop Stats, it was roughly around 700,000. Now, we had seen reports of numbers anywhere from 500,000, and then some reports saying that Natasha Cloud was looking for 1 million. Natasha Cloud has not confirmed either one of those numbers. She did reject something that was said on a podcast, but it was a little bit confusing because she kind of quote tweeted on social media. The thumbnail said $1 million, but if you listen to the show, it said that she was offered 500K. So why am I saying this? Because I'm not sure if she was refuting one of those numbers, the other one, or both of
Yeah.
them. So for this exercise, I will say she wanted somewhere, and I do think she should absolutely be valued between 500K on the low end, because she's
agree.
guaranteed about 300 because of being a veteran, a 10-year veteran.
Yes.
I think she should definitely make more than the minimum, and so that already puts you at like 5. But I also think she should probably be valued at more than 5, my opinion. Now, where that comes into $1 million, and I got into a little heat. This is why like little tiny snippets can get you in trouble. And also they're not the full conversation. But this is like, I had this conversation on We Need to Talk Now. Is it fair? Is it right? Is it a good valuation that Aaliyah Boston is on trajectory to make in a single season about the same amount as Asia Wilson? Because their resumes are not the same.
I mean, it's what we have been talking also regarding Ezi, right? And
Exactly.
it doesn't have to do with a player not deserving it.
Correct. It's about the team and the franchise, what they have available and how they are showing value, and also how the player, by way of their agent or their representation, is valuing themselves. So it's not a cookie cut formula, I guess is what I'm saying. So that's a great question, Striatic. I'm glad you asked it because we have some things to talk about here. Why didn't they just waive Sloot, keep Haley Van Lith and Maddie? Well, you know what my name isn't? Jeff.
Jeff
P.
Pagliocca.
Jeff P. That's on you. When
Yeah.
I tell you, we're gonna be on live tomorrow. But I of course I know what our rundown is, but on We Need to Talk Now, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a spoiler. We're gonna talk about bold predictions, and I'm gonna tell y'all right now, and you probably aren't gonna be surprised, but my bold prediction is that Chicago's still gonna be a hot mess.
I don't think that's too bold.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not that bold, my friend. I think that predicting that the sky is gonna be a hot mess, it's how do you call an informed deduction?
Informed, informed. I got to think about it because I feel like there's
Yeah.
two phrases that are coming to my head, but they're not the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
But I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, they're just taking history into account, you
That's right.
know.
That's right.
That's kind of what the case is. But yeah, Natasha Cloud
Indeed.
is at 555.
Yes,
Elizabeth
555.
Williams.
Don't forget 555, not just
Yeah.
500. 555. That matters.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
55 alone is like, a low. That's a
Taxes,
salary.
I don't know.
Well, that's a
yeah.
salary for some people, which is insane.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I digress.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're really happy for Tosh Cloud. We don't want to spend
Very
too much
happy.
time here because she is not Seattle adjacent and she's a big storyline. But let's now talk about the starting five. Ooh, the starting five in Seattle. We already have a lot of people saying, they want, I love this. It was Jeff. Yes, here's Jeff's comment. I want to see unrivaled Dom. You know what, Jeff? I do too. You know why, Jeff? Because we saw Noel Quinn play Dom.
Yes, we did. We did see, which, believe it or not, it is a relevant comment to make.
It's very much relevant.
We did not see her being played in the WNBA season. And I gotta say that in terms of unrivaled Dom, we are already seeing the off the court side of it. We are already seeing the off the court unrivaled Dom. And now I think we're gonna have a chance to see the on the court Dom.
Right. I agree. This is going back to the last conversation, but Tammy, I'm with you, girl. I'm with you, fam. Anyway, but yes, Dominique Malonga. Listen, we've had this conversation before and you brought it up, right? We know, well, Ezi is not available still for another few weeks. And it was like Ezi's getting the pay. Dom is not eligible for that. So there's that part of it. Flage also not eligible, just came, and Golden State, are y'all all right? We're not going to talk about it. At least not today.
So
We're not
much
going to talk about it today. There's so much happening around the W.
So
it's wild.
much.
And
Just
you know
so
what?
much.
You know what I love? Like, because I was like, oh, I feel bad. We're already like 30 minutes in and we haven't talked much about Seattle. You know what? Because if this were last year or the year before, we wouldn't have time to talk about anything else because all of the messiness, all of the question marks, all of the will they or won't they fire this person or that person? What team were we talking about? Seattle.
That's exactly. I was like, it's kind of crazy because now we can actually like make predictions and we can talk about the storm with like we know where the pieces are going. That it gives us more room to see what's happening around. It's
Exactly.
a very
We're
different
like,
Seattle storm.
Woo! But
Yeah.
yes, so Dom, I think it's safe to say you and I are both taking Dom in our starting five.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have my before Ezi and after Ezi.
Okay, let's do, since it will be the reality for the opening game.
Yeah.
Let's do opening night starting five.
Okay, one mine.
Yes, go for it.
Okay, PG, Natasha Heidman.
Okay, yep.
Shooting guard, Big Four.
Ooh, yeah. Yes.
Small forward, you're not gonna like it.
Oh dear.
Jordan Horston.
Okay.
He's gonna go for the 3.
Clean bill of health.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, she's clear to play opening night. 4, Dominique Malonga. 5, Stephanie Dawson.
That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid.
That's my starting lineup. T, Big Four, Jordan Horston, Dom, Big Mama Steph.
So you
Before Ezi.
see Heidemann taking that PG role, because we've also seen a little bit of Melbourne, we've seen a little bit of Zaya Cook. I think you're right, especially when it comes to Z. I think that her role is coming to have a spark off the bench.
Yeah, and I have noticed that on the practice that I went, also in the preseason games, um Natisha, you can see that Sonia Raman is playing Natisha Heidemann in a
Mhm.
leadership role. That's
Yep.
something that was notable. And today, we just talked just shortly ago here in this podcast that the WNBA had some media availability for all the teams. Today was the Storm
Mhm.
one, and I asked Sonia Raman about Natisha Heidemann and Jade Melbourne and how
Mhm.
she sees them working together. More
Mhm.
specifically, how she sees if she sees Natisha Heidemann as a leader for Jade in that case, and almost like a teacher in terms of their role. And she did say that she sees Natisha as a leader, and she mentioned that not only for Jade but for the whole team. And there has
Mhm.
been a consensus about Natisha's leadership this year. So I see Natisha Heidemann really taking the starting PG role according to what we have seen in practice, um, preseason, and also according to what the coach has said to media these days. So I would say that Natisha Heidemann is going to be the leading PG for the season.
Yeah, and that's really good insight. We talked about this before on the podcast. Heidemann playing, or I should say, taking on a new role, and that being
Hmm.
just what you talked about, the leadership role. I do think that that was the vision, and the truth is, Natisha Heidemann doesn't have significant minutes comparative to other point guards,
Yeah,
aka everyone on Chicago. She doesn't have a lot. See, it all comes back. It
it
all
all
comes
comes
back.
back
We
to
spent a
Chicago.
lot of time
Yeah.
there, and yet we brought it back. Um, I think that her minutes as a starting point guard, that's an area for opportunity for her. She just hasn't had that. Now she's played a starting role before, but she's also played a reserve role. Think about Connecticut, where she did a little bit of both. Think about Minnesota, where at times she did a little bit of both. So I think it's going to be interesting. So Striatic saying, yeah, I want Zaya off the bench too. That just makes sense. Zaya Cook, we haven't seen her have that opportunity, or as Striatic knows, we like to talk about, or I like to talk about when I'm talking about Seattle teams. In this case, BC Basketball Club opportunity. That's what this is going to
Yes.
be this year for Zaya Cook. She did not get that playing time. And so,
Yeah.
again, it's so easy to compare Noel Quinn versus Sonia Raman. And again, Noel Quinn, different format, so we have to be honest, but she did have Dominique Malunga on her unrivaled team, and we saw
Yeah.
a different Dominique Malunga.
A
So
different Noel Queen, true.
well, that's fair. That's fair. A different Noel Quinn. I think that, again, we've talked about this. The Seattle Storm seem resigned to be a team that's, in some kind of retool, hybrid rebuild, etc. Long story short, they feel they have time. They're not looking to win a championship first day of 2026. I mean, clearly that's not realistic, and some teams, basically it's written for them. I mean, look at the conversation people are having about Las Vegas this year, look at the conversation people are having about New York. Very different conversation. If they fall in the opening game, the sky, not the team, although maybe, the sky is falling.
The
That's
sky
not going
is
to be the
falling.
case. That's not going to be the case this year for Seattle. There's not that pressure,
Yeah.
as we've talked about before. So I like your starting five. Jordan Horston, is someone that I never could see the vision, and I think looking back now, some of that is just because there were injuries that Jordan has dealt with, including, of course, missing last season, but then also there were these strange rotations
Yeah.
or lack thereof, and so perhaps that's what skewed, because I am an eye test auntie. I like to see things before I make a conclusive determination, and I just wasn't seeing enough from Jordan. Jordan, but maybe that
Mhm.
was more of a product of what was happening in Seattle as opposed to Jordan herself. And so this is again that BC basketball club opportunity where there's really not a good reason, especially knowing you have to carry 12 players, you have 2 developmental players. Why aren't you playing your players? Awafam, I don't think I'm going to have to say when you have the number 2 pick, you play the number 2 pick, or excuse me, the number 3 pick this year. But either way, it works both ways.
Mhm.
So I don't think we're going to have that issue. Now, I think I saw something. I'll find the comment again. What do you see as the role for Lexi Brown? So if we say Cook is coming off of the bench, are they competing for the same role? Is Lexi more in that shooting guard role? Is one of them more hybrid? We know that Cook has been given the opportunity, and she again, BC opportunity, she says she likes the opportunity to play a little bit of the one, a little bit of the two. I know we're talking, this is our starting 5 segment, and let's talk a little bit about who we think are the sparks off of the bench. And I do think likely it's going to be Cook and Brown among the first
Yeah.
2 that come off the bench.
Yeah, I think that in terms of how I think that both Zaya Cook and Lexi Brown are gonna be used more for shooting rather than running point, because um, with Natisha Hydeman and Jade Melvin, you get that, and they're very solid point guards. They are very good distributing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good. I think Jade specifically is tremendous with pick and rolls, and we had amazing screen setters in this team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
And Steph Dolson is one.
Steph Dolson,
She's
yes,
top 2 on my list, and I don't even think I know who number 2 is.
yeah, exactly. So, and you also have Dom, who is really good with playing, who has shown to work really well with both Natisha and Jade Melvin. So I think that that consistency with the point guard position is really going to stay with Jade and Natisha. And I think there might be instances in which they might put two shooting guards rather than 1 point guard when they want to run things a little differently. I see Lexi Brown taking priority over Zaya Cook when it comes
Mm,
to being a scorer for the team. I feel
mm-hmm.
like Lexi has been a little more. I'm not gonna say she has been a little more consistent, and she has been hitting when the team needs most. I think that that's
Yes.
what comes down to it. Yes, and something came to
Yes,
my
Tammy's
mind
just
this
saying, I just
week.
want to read it in case anyone's not watching the screen. Tammy's saying, Lexi
Yeah,
is complicated. I
yeah,
hope I got the
she.
emphasis right, Tammy. Let me know. Let me know. She's
Yeah,
complicated.
leaving the complication part out of out of the conversation, because this week she did say that if
Well,
there was this like, which celebrity would you be good
oh,
friends with, and
jeez.
she chose to say Drake, and I was like, we were just defending you so hard these past weeks, you're gonna say Drake? And I was like, well, help us help you. So that's why I'm like, I'm not going to. Yes. See,
See,
I
okay, Lexi, I was like, because I was like, we're not gonna get into some of the other things that are happening,
I was like,
and
we
and
were fighting for you. We were running. We were like
we
about to bear
were rooting for
arms.
you.
We were
We were
about to
all
bear
rooting for
arms
you.
for you. Like, see,
Oh
and
my
then you're gonna go, and then
gosh.
you go and say that Drake. I was like, oh my god, because she said he's a petty king and I'm a petty queen. Yeah, see, I was like,
Oh,
she
okay.
already got too much heat on social media. I'm not going to say anything about this because at the end of the day, we're all humans.
I
But
mean, it's a choice. It's a choice.
anyways, she is complicated
I feel
off the
like
court.
every time you find a way to bring up something that has not made it to my timeline yet and truly shock me.
Yeah, and I think no one made a point because he saw Striak say that he saw his jaw dropped. I didn't see anyone talking about it because she did go through a lot
Yeah, and
online,
that
and I'm
yeah.
not even. But she went through a lot. She didn't deserve any of the horrible things that people said to her. That was one of the scariest things that I saw happen. But anyway, and then she dropped the drink. And I was like, no, please, no.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave this one
Anyways,
here.
anyways, despite that, I do think that she had the best showing in preseason when it comes to make a case between her and Zaya Cook to come straight off the bench and keep that. I think
Yeah.
she's on social
So,
media. She knows very well what goes on. I
well,
think
yeah,
so. But
apparently she's
anyways,
also on yes,
basketball
basketball.
wise, I think that Lexi had a tremendous preseason that she needed to have. She needed to
I just can't. I just
she
can't.
needed to have those games. And since we're talking about off the court, I'm gonna say Lexi played tremendously. And considering everything that Lexi was going through, the mental fortitude that she had to bring what she brought on the court when she was on the major news, receiving heat and hate from so many
Mhm.
people, and she still showed up and showed out. I think that, yes, there are preferences that I wouldn't say Drake, and there are other things that I wouldn't say. The like
Yikes.
stop saying NBA.
Oh,
Like,
I was like, absolutely not.
yeah, so
Actually,
like
you know what? I owe Lexi an apology because I did see that post and I was like, absolutely not. And then I realized because again, I try to take what people say, and if things are offensive, I don't want to offend people. Apparently, the men think calling men's basketball is offensive. You know what? That's all I needed to hear. I was like, okay, I will not say MNBA anymore. So now I am saying them NBA.
I don't care about offending men, so I don't see a problem.
The
uh,
way you deadpanned that is hilarious.
it is
I
true
was
though.
going more the sarcasm route,
Yeah, but
but that's
anyway,
fine too.
so it's complicated, and I know we're trying to keep it basketball and on the court, but
Jeez, tissue.
anyway,
Oh
I do
gosh.
think that Lexi Brown deserves acknowledgement for showing up on
Yes.
preseason the way that she did,
Yes.
even though she was going through, I think, one of the worst social media hate trains that
Really
I've ever
tough.
seen
It was
for
tough.
a WNBA player. And like, I don't want to talk about the whole situation, but it scared me that some random person on a Monday morning, Tuesday morning, I don't remember, said her name, just like Lexi, WNBA Lexi Brown. I know there are some apps that are called spinning wheels, and then you just grab a name. These things exist. I don't know how that person came to Lexi's name. I don't know. I just know that a random person said her name on Twitter, and everyone decided that that was true and jumped on a hate train against a WNBA player trying to put a major music star against her, trying to get fans of one of the biggest rap stars against her. And still, she showed up. She showed up in the WNBA preseason, and she made her mark. And she made a small statement saying, "I have some of the most important games of my career ahead of me. This is going to be a
Mm,
very important moment for me, and I'm going
mhm.
to focus on that." She
Good for her.
focused on that. She balled in the preseason,
She really
and
did.
she settled her spot on the team.
I
I
think so
think
too.
that, and she did that amongst one of the worst hate trains that I've seen on social media. It's like Angel Reese style hate train. I think that was
Yeah,
the only player
yeah.
that I had seen receive that much hate in like a
Well,
mainstream. I'm talking in like mainstream. You know, we've seen several players receive hate, but in Lexi Brown's case, it was really, really bad because it
Yeah.
involved a major
Yeah, and
star.
again, we're not going to get
So
too much in that, but I
no, no,
agree
no,
with
yeah,
you. I agree with you that Lexi, it's good to see her bounce back. She said in
yeah,
exit interviews, we were there, that she was healthy, she could have played, but that goes back to just short bench, very little
mhm,
rotations that existed for the Seattle Storm. I do think she'll be prominently featured in the rotation. And I think Cook, now let's talk a little bit about Mair, because someone that did not make the roster, the 12-player roster, but will still be with the organization.
yeah. So we're talking about Taina Mair. She was drafted number 14, 13.
I have to double
For
check.
it was some, I think between 13 and 15, I think, or 16. Out of Duke, point guard, coached by Kara Lawson. She did
Mhm.
really well for the Seattle Storm in preseason. I'm just taking a look at looking at my notes here.
Mair was 14, just FYI.
14.
Mm-hmm.
She led the team in assists in the preseason. She had 9 assists through spanning 2 games. Jade had 5, Natasha Heidman had 3. And that makes sense because coach wants to watch players who she doesn't know about yet, right?
Right.
But she did really well. She had 9 assists. She was able to play with the bigs of the team. She knew how to distribute the ball. Of course, there can only be 12 players on the team. She was waived and then brought back on a development contract. And I think the Storm still has 1 player to waive. They have 13 players on their roster. So, but the only player they picked up for development was her. I think that as a true point guard, she is going to be a good backup just to make sure, just in case Natisha or Jade can't be with the team, or if they can't, or if they get hurt, nothing's gonna happen. I don't know if this is something that we have time for, but I also was searching for some context on development players because it is still a new concept.
Yes.
Do I have time to read something here quickly,
I
or
want to actually move. I think we
okay?
should leave that for another podcast, because I want to. Because here in New York, I've been also asking some
Oh
things,
my
and
God, yeah,
there's
it's
still some
7:30.
clarification that we're waiting for. So let's keep that for next episode. But I do want to talk about more broadly for the Seattle Storm, and we can use the developmental players as a transition, because one thing we do know is that developmental players don't have to come from your training camp roster, and we learn that by looking at what happened. We're not going to get into all of the tea. You can listen to We Need to Talk Now if you want to hear my personal take on that, but we learned that waived players can be picked up from other teams. And wouldn't you know, the player that the Golden State Valkyries traded in exchange for Flau'jae Johnson, they then waived.
Yep.
Magda Suarez, waived by the Golden State Valkyries, picked up today by Phoenix.
Yes.
So my question to you, Horetta, with that second developmental player role, do you think the Storm will go with someone they've already waived, because you have to pass through waivers before you can either come back? Well, you have to pass through waivers before you can come back if the team that waived you wants you as a developmental player. But while you're waiting and after you've been waived, other teams have, I think it's like a 48-hour
Yeah.
window where they can grab you, which is exactly what happened to Suarez. So do you think that the Storm would be better suited to maybe seek a waived player? I mean, Van Lith, as of, a few hours ago, was on the market. Suarez was on the market. Or do you think they'll keep it with people that were in their training camp this season?
I think that taking into consideration the Storm's history and how they've always brought back training camp players. I think Mackenzie Holmes is the best example that we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
They still have a player to waive, and I am very sure that player is going to be Grace Van Sluten. So I think that they're going to waive her and bring her as a developmental player. That's my guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Okay.
think that they're gonna go on the
Outside.
market
Yeah.
outside. I
Mm-hmm.
think that they're going to bring Grace Van Sluten back.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. Maybe that's why Van Sluten is one of those last cuts. You're kind of playing a little bit of a
Yeah.
gamesmanship here. You're waiting to
Mm-hmm.
see because they have to fill these rosters by the 7th, which is tomorrow. Playing a little bit of the waiting game, kind of the other side of what we saw with Tosh Cloud, right? Now the team's being like, all right, well, then maybe if I hang on to this player, there's
Yeah.
more of a chance that they will pass waivers and we can bring them back. Tammy saying Storm too loyal. We'll keep it in house.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. I mean, look, honestly, Mackenzie Holmes, there were other players in the market could potentially who could do more for the Storm. Mackenzie didn't play much last year. I don't know how much she's going to play this year, but she had already, I think she was drafted by the Storm and spent excuse me,
Oh
and
no.
spent training camp with them. That's how the Storm does, and I think that
Yeah.
if I think that has to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, I think so for sure. All right. And this is for y'all as well, listening and watching. Let's talk about some hot takes. Any hot takes that you have for the Seattle Storm? You know what? I actually was asked to do Rookie of the Year. I did not choose. I just flat out did not choose because I was going back and forth. I think a lot of people are going to say Olivia Miles, and I think that makes sense because, pun intended, Olivia is going to have a lot of miles. Because
Yeah,
with Heidemann in Seattle, you have Courtney Williams still in Minnesota, but the big conversation with Courtney Williams like 2 seasons ago was that she's not a true lead guard, and Cheryl Reeve was working to get her familiar with that point guard position. You don't have to do that necessarily with Olivia Miles, I don't think, in the same way, but it's a matter of, are her PG skills going to translate
yeah,
to the WNBA? But here's the thing. Now, I don't know that Minnesota really has much option. They have to have her be that PG. But you know what I do think Cheryl Reeve knows? When you
everything.
have the number, well, yes, that. But I think Cheryl Reeve knows when you have the number 2 pick, you play the number 2 pick.
Yep,
I think
she
Cheryl Reeve
definitely
knows
knows
that.
that.
I think she
Yeah,
knows that.
and one thing that we know is that Cheryl Reeve knows things.
She
Uh,
knows things. She
if
knows a
there's
lot.
I've gotten back on the Game of Thrones, on my Game of
I've
Thrones kick,
never watched or read any of those.
and I don't know if Cheryl Reeve drinks, but there is a very famous quote from Game of Thrones by
Mm-hmm.
Tyrion Lannister. He says, "That's what I do. I drink and I know things." And I feel that like if Cheryl Reeve drinks, then that quote
Well, I
is
mean, she
applicable
she
to her.
at least drinks water, right? I'm sure.
There you
Hopefully.
go.
There you
There
go.
you go. There you
Didn't
go.
specify.
But yeah,
This is
yeah,
interesting though, Brian. Thank you for popping in. If Olivia Miles doesn't play defense, Reeve will pull her. What we also know is that Cheryl Reeve made a move for Maya Caldwell, who's another guard. And a lot of
yes,
people liking that move. Again,
a lot of
11th
people
hour
like it.
move. That's a 5'11" guard coming out of Georgia alongside Olivia Miles. So maybe a little competition, maybe someone who's been in the league who can help Olivia Miles. But all of that to say that I think Olivia Miles is almost an obvious choice because she's on a team that we'll talk about our contenders and pretenders in a little bit. But a lot of people, I think, still do see Minnesota as a contender. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I just think that where they are in the pecking order is a little bit different, and we'll talk about that. But for me, Flau'jae and Raven and probably Lauren Betts are the 3 rookies I personally am most excited to see play in their new environment.
No Ezi.
I said what I said.
I am very excited to watch Ezi, and I think that in that Dallas Wings team. But
Jeff
again,
gets
let's
me. Jeff gets me.
we should go. We're gonna talk about our hot takes, right?
Well, that is my hot take, perhaps. I
Okay,
don't know.
okay.
And so,
Flau'jae in the
but
race
I
for
do
Rookie
think
of the Year.
Flau'jae should be
I
in
think
in
she's gonna.
yeah, I mean,
I agree with you.
you look at where she was selected, and that doesn't matter. I think she's feeling good about being in Seattle. I think Seattle's feeling good about her being there. I think that she has already shown with her energy and how she fits with what Coach Roman wants to do, that she can be trusted with minutes, at least by way of what she's able to offer in effort. Is she going to make mistakes? Has she made mistakes in preseason? Of course. And I think that she's going to get some runway. So I do think, Jeff, I'm with you. Rookie of the Year between Lauren Betts and Flau'jae. I do think that they're probably underrated and to people's detriment, both Flau'jae and Lauren Betts. So that's probably my hot take. But what's
Mm.
your hot take?
Dominic Malonga is making the All-Star game.
Is that a hot take?
She didn't make it last year.
You know what I'm going to say.
She didn't play. Okay, maybe my hot take is that Flau'jae is going to be like top 3 in the race for Rookie of the Year.
I still don't know that that's even super hot. Do you think Flau'jae could be an all-star?
I think she could be in one of the all-star
Like skill
skill stuff. I
Okay.
think that she could make it. She's definitely going to be in Chicago, that's for sure.
Well, either
Now,
way,
if she's
right.
going to participate in something. Okay, if my
Or
hot
do you
take
think
is not
Sonia
that
will
hot.
do you think Sonia will pull oh geez, what was that move's
Anara
name?
Nakase?
No, I was gonna say a Vanessa Nygaard and be like, there is an event happening in Chicago, but there is an event happening in Chicago, but
But
Flau'jae Johnson is not there, so you can't really call it an all-star game.
while her other player
That was
was.
such a wild thing. For those who don't
Damn,
know,
is
look it
Skylar
up.
Diggins went
Vanessa
through it.
Nygaard. That was the year Skylar Diggins was an MVP, flat out earned her MVP, the sole MVP for the Phoenix Mercury, whilst Diana Taurasi was still playing. And the best thing the coach could come up with to say about the All-Star game is that there is an event happening, but it cannot be an All-Star game because Diana Taurasi is not there. That was wild.
That woman never touched a WNBA floor, a WNBA arena ever again. I think. Vanessa Nygaard.
That was wild.
Oh man, every time
Good
I go
old-
back and I remember everything that Skylar Diggins went through in this league, like give her $2 million, please, because
I mean, yeah, it
yeah.
was
So
wild.
I think that Dom is going to have. I think that Dom is going to be the best player in the Storm.
See, now
And
this is interesting because Ronnie and Tammy, I don't know, I see these as together, so let me know if you didn't mean that. But Ronnie's saying, watch out for a wild card rookie in the Rookie of the Year competition. And then Tammy chimed in with Awa being slept on since she's joining late.
that might be an issue for her. We know that joining late does not help with team bonding development.
Well, yeah, it might depend on how late, how early she's integrated, and
Yeah.
effectively the most important thing, how she performs, right?
And it's something that even Gabby Williams mentioned herself, because last year was the first time that Gabby Williams presented to the team for training camp, and she spent the whole year with them instead of joining halfway through the season. So Gabby Williams said that it was just so different how she was able to integrate to the team's dynamic and the team style of play very early on. And we did see a Gabby Williams who was zooming for a while until that Indiana Fever game, right? So I do think that makes a difference, especially for a rookie. And we're talking about our Fam, who is supposed to have a big role. I did not put her in my starting five prediction, neither before nor after. And I do understand that Awa can give a mysterious aura right now in terms of her path in the W, because first off, she's going to take a little longer to get to the team. She's young. She has played internationally. She has not played um college here in the US. So it's not, for example, Leonie Fibic is going to arrive with the same timeline as Awa, because they play on the same team. They both play for Valencia. And we already know what to expect from Fibic. We already know what she's going to contribute and where she's going to be in the New York Liberty rotation. We have no idea what that's going to look like for Awa. She's going to be entering a team that has two players who play like her. And one of them is going to be on the bench recovering, but she's coming back. It's not a Chicago Sky, Sloot Sky, and Tash situation. It's different.
No,
We're
I think
talking
it is
about a
different.
completely different. Yeah, and
Slightly.
we're talking
But
about young
yeah,
players, and so I think that,
and different position. I think
yeah,
Chicago is having the
yes,
same issue
that
that
makes a
the
big
Sky
difference.
or that they're literally the same team. Chicago is having the issue that the Storm have had for the last 2 seasons. And it's like, I hear you telling me you're trying to be a contender, but nothing that you're actually doing makes me believe you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, but before I don't want to go too deep into that because you actually said something that I want to go um, back to your comments from earlier, but you said before Ezi and after Ezi, and you revealed that Awa is not in your starting five, even in either scenario. And I think you
Yeah.
explained why, but tell us. So I'm assuming Ezi slots in when she's
Yeah.
recovered. And so then who
Stephanie
pops?
out, Ezi in.
Stephanie out.
Yeah, so my after Ezi lineup is Natisha Hyman, PG, Flaw Johnson, SG, Jordan Horston, SF, Ezi, F, and Dominic Malonga center. So
Mm.
that's what I'm imagining for after Ezi. And I didn't even So the way that I'm approaching Awa is the same way that I approached Dominic last year. I knew that, like, I know that you were always putting her as a starter and imagining her as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw her as a starter, at least for most, not because I don't think she's a starter, but because of how WNBA operates with international rookies. So
That is fair.
that's where my mind it was never I don't think Dom can be a starter. It was more of like looking at the whole situation, you know?
You know what? I'm not going to do this tonight because I have to get up early in the morning, but I'm going to tell y'all right now. This is a perfect time to plug a new thing that we're doing over at the Women's Basketball Roundup, which is called the Extra Possession. Now, for those who are paid subscribers, you can listen to our mini podcast, and we're going to set things up to where y'all can share audio and rant about things. You know, I'm going to rant about, you see how I got to move? So I make sure y'all lock in with my eyes. I'm going to rant about some things. And we do have the first episode that's coming up on our Friday newsletter, but I think I'm going to have to add a rant because you hit a subject that I want to talk about. And I'm going to have you join me probably for this mini podcast. But why would you exempt international players to be able to play at a young age if eye test tells me just what you said, that WNBA players will draft an international talent young and not play them?
I want to go back to the MNBA
The them
because
NBA?
the WNBA and say that this is not just a WNBA problem, this is a USA problem.
I believe it.
What was said about, I'm even closing the computer because I have a point to make.
She's like, I'm gonna focus.
What was said about, what was the famous quote that a sports commentator made about Luka Doncic when he was drafted?
I don't know.
He's 4 years away from being 4 years to being ready. So what was said is that Luka Doncic was far from being impactful in the NBA. And we see that it didn't take him 8 years. It didn't take him 4 years. He made an impact very, very quickly. It is different with Wemby because Wemby comes with a just completely different everything. They call him the alien, right?
Yes. Well, listen, we're not going to give it all away here because we're going to have to talk about it. We're going to talk about it on the extra possession. That's where you'll get even more of our hot takes because we're not going to keep y'all for 2 hours this season like we usually do. And we're not going to keep ourselves for 2 hours.
Yeah.
We're going to start trimming these down once we get into the season. And this is a way that you can get more of our spicy hot takes and support the Women's Basketball Roundup, which of course is brought to you by Black Rosie Media. So you would be supporting us as creatives. So that's what we're going to have to do because I know you have thoughts, I have thoughts, and we need to have our powers combine. And that's going to be, I feel like that is going to have to be a series within the mini podcast because I have a lot of thoughts about how international talent, or even quite honestly, US talent from a women's sports perspective is very different than how we treat men. And like, duh, everyone knows that. And I think that my hope is, I have a theory. Anyway, we'll talk about it. But right now, I want to move on because we're going to do a little bit more of a WNBA overview. We're going to do our contenders and pretenders, and then we're going to get out of here. We're going to talk about Tina Charles, who played in both New York and Seattle, a short stint in Seattle. Very misunderstood player in a lot of ways. I've had my run-ins. Some, if you've been around the W for a while, specifically the COVID years, you might even know what one of my dust-ups with Tina Charles was. But again, undeniable talent. And we'll end today's episode talking a little bit about Tina Charles.
Yeah,
but
also first, connected to the Storm.
Yes, exactly. That's what I said. And so, but what we're going to do is do our contenders and pretenders. If you listen to Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans, then we already did this. Brian and I did this. And honestly, I'm looking at these rankings and my rankings have already changed because the Dallas Wings is the first team that we have. And I had them as wait till next year. Brian and I did this super, 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 super early. But I do think that they are in. So let me just go over the categories. We have the 15 teams. We had to rank them as championship contenders, wait till next year, aka they're not making the playoffs, or a team that's playoff bound, but maybe not yet a favorite to be in the championship series. So I had Dallas as wait till next year, but I think really they're playoff bound. And as you will see on CBSSports.com, I have them as playoff bound. And I do agree with you and Brian. Lan Smith is going to be an impact player. We know what she was able to do. I really do feel if Lan doesn't go down with an injury, that Minnesota probably wins over New York in that 2024 championship. That's how well she was playing. She's a really interesting player. Sometimes she's a guard, sometimes she's a center, sometimes she's a forward. I'm really eager to see what's going to happen in Dallas, including that they have a backcourt that they have to figure out. I don't know how this is going to work with AZ Fudd, Paige Beckers, and Arike Agumbawale, but I guess they'll figure that out. Okay, the next team that we have, and we're going to save Seattle for last. New York Liberty. All of us have them as championship contenders. I really don't know that there's much that has to be said there. I guess for me, Roberta, I guess you know how I feel about rookie head coaches, first-time head coaches for championship caliber teams. But I said this on CBS Sports today. In Brianna Stewart, I trust. She's going to
In
take over
Brianna
this
Stewart,
team.
I trust, yeah.
She's coming off of an Unrivaled championship. She's coming off of a EuroLeague championship. And why not go for the clean sweep? So we
Hmm.
both, all three of us, have them in
Yeah.
playoff bound. Golden State Valkyries, I initially had them as playoff bound, but now I think they're wait till next year.
Who?
The Golden State Valkyries.
I think they're
I'm
playoff bound. I
okay.
think so.
I'm
Yeah.
worried about I'm worried that they don't have enough offense comparative to other teams in the league that have gotten better offensively and are at least as good as they were last year defensively. Golden State, very good defensive team, and they got even better with Gabby Williams, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if Gabby can become a scoring option, kind of like how she plays for France, that
Yes.
could maybe work, but I still don't think it's enough offense.
No, I do think, and the way that I made my choices was that 8 teams have to go to the playoffs, right?
Yes,
At
I know.
first, yeah, at first I wasn't sure about them, but then when I started going around, I was like, no, I think that they are going to make the playoffs among all of the other options.
Okay. So let's see. Other playoff bound teams. These are teams
Oh, and
where
my
oh,
impact player is Kayla Thornton.
no, I think, yeah, Kayla Thornton and Veronica Burton, I think, are
Yeah.
great choices. We're not going to go through all of them because we are running up on time.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about some teams that I think are interesting or where we disagree. So I have Indiana as a championship contender.
I don't.
Yeah, I can see it going either way. But what Indiana was able to do last year without a lot of their superstar power, that makes me think that, at least in theory, they should be able to outperform how the team performed. And you know what's similar? Kelsey Mitchell.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
in Stewie I trust, in Mitchell I trust.
I've been going back and forth with myself when it comes to uh are the Fever a championship contender, and I do have to be honest that there might be some bias on my end to not having them as contenders.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at the same time, and anything that I talk about Caitlin Clark, people are gonna feel a certain way. But I do think that if we don't see her develop her game in different ways, that's going to hinder the Fever because she's supposed to be their top scorer, and she does struggle with how to vary her play. And Stephanie White has talked about playing her off the ball and having
Mm-hmm.
her to play a little differently. And Caitlin Clark herself had a quote today in which she said, my brand is going to continue growing, but my game is going to be stalled if I don't acquire new abilities. So that might have been one of the first times that I actually fully agree with something she says. And because, we're talking basketball, right? And every player is subject to criticism. And I think that the thing with Caitlin Clark is that she relies almost solely on 3-pointers. And she's not a good defender. Players know that, and that's why she went through a stretch in which she did not score. She has not been efficient. And if that doesn't change, she's going to be stalled because the WNBA is a defensive league. We're not going to talk about that, right? We're not going to have time to talk about Nafisa's comment.
No, we're gonna have to save it for next
Yeah.
episode.
So I think that Caitlin Clark she desperately needs to work on her defense, and she needs to probably start adding some meets there because we're seeing the mid-range come back, right? And yeah, I think that for me, that's the thing
Yeah.
with Fever. She's
Yeah. I
their
mean,
main
I can
scorer.
see it. I can see it going that way. I mean, Jeff said what he said. Go on and read it. I'm gonna leave that there for now. But again, this was a team with I think the biggest critique also about her game that is not necessarily X's and O's and is still important is her leadership. And
She's
the
not a leader.
the way she was able to be classified as a leader in college is not going to be the same in the W. So that also has to evolve. But we're going to move on from Indiana. Another team, you know what? This is so my list keeps changing. Chicago Sky, they might be playoff bound, but they're teetering. I just because again, my hot take, which is probably not that hot, is that they're going to be a hot mess. I can't trust it. You had Phoenix as wait till next year, and I had them as playoff bound, so not necessarily going for a title, but playoff bound. But I think they could be wait till next year. As I think I'm leaning into wait till next year.
I'm sorry. They were supposed to be playoff bound for me.
Oh, whoops. Well, there you go.
Or
I
maybe
don't know,
not.
but
I don't
I
know.
have some questions about Phoenix. And then there's Minnesota. I had them initially when Brian and I did this as championship contender, but I think I agree now with Brian that they're maybe more of a playoff bound team. I don't know that they're a shoe-in. Yes, we do know that the reports are that Nafisa Collier is supposed to be back by early June. As a reminder, I'm just very curious what her reconditioning is going to look like because the good sis had double ankle surgery.
Oh my God.
You know,
It's
and I don't
insane.
know I'm not going to pretend to know like what the surgery was like, what the recovery is like, any of that. I just know that ankles are pretty important to basketball players, and the
Listen,
recovery, like dealing with an ankle injury, the recovery can be a long road. And so effectively when you're dealing with a surgery of some kind, yes, it's to make you better, but it's also like a trauma, like you had a procedure done. So there's a recovery there. Ankles are important, recovery can be tough, and she got the double whammy. So, the reconditioning is going to be something for sure there. Okay, I think we all know where Seattle is, but y'all let us know in the comments, where is Seattle? Again, our rankings that we did at Black Rosie Media, wait till next year, a team that's not making the playoffs. Playoff bound, a team that we think will be in the top 8, but probably will bow out in the first or second round. And then there are the tried and true championship contenders. And if any of y'all say championship contenders for the Seattle Storm, make sure you turn your calendar to 2026.
Yeah, I mean the Ace is definitely contender.
Yes, no, for sure. And again, we just don't have time to go through all of them.
Yeah.
Brian and I did do this, and we'll come back to it because I think this is just a fun activity. But we, as we often do, kind of went in different directions. But I think it's been a great conversation. What have y'all liked about the conversation? But we have to end with Tina Charles paying for a lottery ticket. That's that's where Seattle is. But we have to end with talking about Tina Charles. Tina Charles ends with, "It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper and Heavy Z up in the limousine. A Brooklyn chica through and through. Was an MVP of the WNBA. Played in Connecticut for the Sun. Really made her mark when coming to the New York Liberty. Just the championship always evaded her. I do think she, with all due respect to Nneka Ogwumike, I definitely had Tina Charles as my MVP in 2026. I think that was the 2026 race. Now I got to double check. But I think she should be a 2-time MVP, but she has one. And, she
2026.
I said, sorry, not 2026. That would be like future.
Yeah.
She's coming back, y'all. She's coming back. Surprise. She's getting her second MVP. 2016, excuse me. But we used the term complicated earlier. I think complex is maybe it's similar, but a little more mature, perhaps. I do think Tina Charles is complex. We've talked about this, you and I, because she got a lot of heat for her stops in Phoenix, her stops in Seattle, and Sue Bird set the record straight. I've talked about this. Tina went from Washington to Phoenix to Seattle looking to be with a contending team and play a very specific role, not even a starting role. This is a self-assured, self-actualized and player that knew that she was coming to the end of her career, but still had a lot to give and was willing to play a bench role. But you know what happened in Washington? Elena Delle Donne goes down. In Phoenix, Vanessa Nygaard happened. And then if you know,
And then
you know.
Seattle,
If you know, you know. And then in Seattle, it was
Chelsea Gray happened.
well, on the positive side, or not really positive, but I think if you look at who was on that team, Mercedes Russell was out with injury, and so she was set to play a significant role. Not Tina Charles Barkley, y'all are hilarious, but I think that she has a complex history for those who know it. I again have had dust ups with Tina at a professional level, and just not always agreeing with each other. And the talent undeniable.
Undeniable ever since her Connecticut Huskies
Mhm.
years. I think that it's pretty significant that in 2022 she was brought into the Storm so the Storm could win a championship. And
Mhm.
if the Storm, I think that the only reason why the Storm did not make it to the finals was because the Las Vegas Aces were unstoppable, and it was impossible to stop that team
Not
and
impossible. It was
Chelsea Gray.
almost possible, and Chelsea Gray. But I think
Yeah.
also when you hear Sue Bird, because that was an epic series. If you haven't seen that
Oh
series,
my
the
God.
semifinal series between Vegas and Seattle, I know we talk so much about Seattle in their current history or their present. That was an electric series of players that some of which, including Tina Charles, are now retired, playing some of their best
It
basketball.
was
If you
amazing.
know who Asia Wilson is now, I'm telling you, that series did not make her, but it got her on her way
Yeah.
because it was proof. I think that series was proof that all of those tears that we saw, and I'm saying this matter of factly, I'm not throwing shade again. If you know your women's basketball history, you know the heartache that Asia Wilson felt in bowing out. She couldn't get through the press conference. And then to see that team be able to push through a very tough Seattle Storm team. But what did Sue Bird, who was on that team, say? Exit interviews, end of her career, and she said, "We don't make the semis without who?"
Tina Charles. Yep. Yeah,
I'm telling you,
she
that was an all-time series, and Sue
yeah.
Bird is telling you that Seattle doesn't make that series an all-time
Mm-hmm.
series without Tina Charles.
Yeah.
That's who Tina Charles is.
Yeah, and she was a specific request from Sue Bird. Sue Bird asked her to be on that team so they could win a championship. That team was so close
So
to making it
close.
to the finals. Brianna Stewart was about to leave Brianna Stewart left everything she had on that final game.
Yeah.
Brianna Stewart was willing to give literal sweat and blood to get Sue Bird another championship before
Yep.
she retired.
Yep.
But in my opinion, the Chelsea Gray, if we see good Chelsea Gray, like point God, that was point universe. Like what she was playing in that 2022
Just
series,
out of her
it was
mind.
one of the, I was gonna say it's top 3 performances that I've seen in basketball, not women's basketball, basketball. What she did was insane. So the Storm, it was unfortunate enough because the Storm was unable to end high enough in the stands that they had to face the Aces.
Mhm.
So I think that if it wasn't for that, they would have made the finals because that Storm team and the mentality that they had, the Brianna Stewart that we saw that year. Oh my God. Just like remember, it makes
She's
me want
just
to
getting
watch
started.
those series again.
I know.
I
We should
was
do like
still
a
working
rewatch
at
or
the
something.
Storm at that time. It was
Oh my
like
gosh.
insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was yeah, that was a good series. That was a good series. So, to state what we hope is obvious, happy retirement, Tina Charles. Thank you, Tina Charles.
Yeah.
And I wrote
I'm
about
gonna
this.
cry.
Oh, I wrote about this in CBS Sports, but there was a period where she really wanted a ring. And then we saw her go to an Atlanta team. Not Atlanta that you see today,
No.
but Tina Charles laid the foundation for that Atlanta team with her leadership. If you look back at it, and this is what people miss. I think some New York Liberty fans have a sour taste in their mouth with Tina Charles. I don't always like how that narrative plays out, but everywhere that Tina went after there, it just was never home,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is that hurts a little bit to reflect on it as a New Yorker, as someone who covered
Yeah.
her in
Yeah.
MSG. But you know what? Hey, many are the plans
Yeah.
in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. That's kind of how I see
Yeah.
Tina's career. But yeah, I think that this was a player who, you know, she's like, people look at Charles Barkley, and that's where this comment comes from, I'm
He
sure.
never win a
Pe
championship?
no, people
Oh.
look at Reggie Miller, and it's the one thing that you can say to a player like that to kind of win an argument. It's fact. Tina Charles did not
Yeah.
win a championship, and it's also a fact that Tina Charles is one of the best to ever play in the WNBA.
Yeah. She was an MVP, right?
Yes, we already
Yeah.
talked about that. You gotta.
I'm sorry. I am. Yeah, sorry. I'm starting to space out
I can
because
see
I'm
that. I
waking
can
up
see that.
early. So she is, and there is that unfortunate side of sports that only one team wins at the
Only
end,
one team wins.
and you can't be on all the winning teams. I think that a lot about Skylar Diggins. She's
Mm-hmm.
approaching the end of her career.
Mm-hmm.
The Chicago Sky are not going to win a championship this year. That's something that we can say as a matter of fact. She still has, I feel, some years under her legs, but where is she going to play? Because that may be the case for Skylar Diggins, who is one of the best players to step foot on the court in the
Yeah.
WNBA.
Yeah.
So
It's tough.
there are those things that it is very unfortunate for some players.
Yeah, indeed. But we wish you the best of luck in what
Yeah.
you have going. Also, someone that, helped bring AED machines throughout New York City just because of something that her aunt went through, and her aunt Hopi's foundation, and then she made her Tribeca Film Festival debut, telling a
Yeah.
phenomenal story about her father, Charlie's Records, a really great film. So there's a lot complex. I don't want to say complicated. Tina Charles is complex and deserves to be appreciated for all
Yeah.
that she brings to everything that she does. So cheers to you, we would say in hockey, stick taps to you. And hey, what an amazing career. Cannot wait to see you celebrated as you should be in WNBA 30, because I think she'll make the WNBA 30. They just keep
Yeah,
adding
100%.
spots. Tina Charles is going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not Striatic saying, can I clip this for use after Sky wins the
Oh my God.
championship? Okay. Yeah, go ahead and clip it. I mean, pigs, make sure to take a video of the pigs flying as well.
Yeah.
It could
Hey,
happen. I
listen.
guess it could happen. We have to leave space for that as a possibility. I think it's extremely unlikely. And yeah, they got to figure some things out as an organization. But you know what we got to figure out? We got to get ourselves a new intro, and we have to figure out what
Lighting.
yeah, well, that I should give you some of mine. I almost have too much lighting today. But listen, we're gonna wrap up tonight. A reminder, check out the Women's Basketball Roundup. You can subscribe for free. There is a free subscription, 100% free. We'll always have a free option, and you'll get the lion's share of the newsletter. We're adding some additions, including the extra possession, a mini podcast that will live in the newsletter, and for paid subscribers. But this is a great way to support women's basketball, but specifically to support Black Rosie Media and our coverage. But Joveta and I will continue to have conversations. We'll share them on the extra possession. We'll be doing our reporting in the field along with Brian Florentin. And those are the conversations that we're going to bring to you in the Women's Basketball Roundup. But if you love going deeper, if you love knowing about the hockey assist, which actually John Cole Jones brought up today, then you are going to love the extra possession. All right, everyone, we're going to close out here. Joveta, you know, the candles are burning down.
I'm using my phone.
Someone cut the lights off on her. So we got to get her out of here. But again, thank you for joining us for Tempestagi Talk, your local eye on the Seattle Storm. We have another show next week. We are usually on Wednesdays. We're usually on Thursdays. And we have a calendar a schedule that we will post for both Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans, and Tempestagi Talk. But thanks for joining us, and we will catch you on the next stream next week. Peace out, everybody.
Bye, everyone.